everyone. Good evening. Well, I should say good morning, good night. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and or good night, based on wherever you're tuning in from, or whenever you catch the replay. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I am here to go ahead and get part two completed. Earlier this morning, I had to end my stream because I had things to do. And as promised, I am back to finish up. As you come in, please settle in, wipe your feet at the door, and hit that like button. So I'm going to go through the events that occurred today in the case of the United States versus Sean P. Diddy Combs. We left off right where Combs' attorney, Westmoreland, was questioning Dawn Richard. I say Richard because it's spelled Richard, right? But everybody else calls her Richard. So I'm just going to refer to her as Dawn. Westmoreland was questioning her about the Central Park situation. I'm going to back up to the prior line of questioning so that we could be right on task and on target with respect to her cross-examination. So, Combs' attorney, Westmoreland. About the Pum Pums. You didn't tell the prosecutors about I saw Pum Pums at Daddy's house. Dawn, they didn't ask. Westmoreland. You never saw Mr. Combs pull a Pum Pum out and wave it around, load bullets, or Dawn. He just had it. Westmoreland. Let's move to the alleged incident before the Central Park concert. You are aware there was a camera crew. Dawn. Not in the bathroom, Westmoreland. You were filmed in the park. Are you aware? Are you aware if video has been turned, if that the video has been turned over? Dawn, no. Westmoreland, isn't it true the first time you said this was a week ago? Would you like me to show you your previous interviews? Dawn, I know what I said. Westmoreland, you said Mr. Combs made a unalive threat, one that you didn't recall 7 times. Westmoreland, let's go to your interview on March 18th, 2025. You did not say anything about Mr. Combs told you people go missing. Dawn, I didn't recall that. Westmoreland, no worries. I'm going to show you a document for the parties only. Westmoreland, would you agree with me? It had it has been hard for you to keep your story straight with respect to this egg incident. Dawn, I told it as close as I could. Westmoreland, the day after you say Mr. Combs said people go missing. Dawn, yes. Westmoreland, you testified he attempted to hit her about the eggs, and Miss Ventura dropped down in a fetal position, right? Dawn, yes. Westmoreland, did you ever say you heard a pan hit the wall? You didn't see it? Dawn, I don't recall. Westmoreland, you are aware there's a motion to dismiss. Wait a minute, do I have this right? Wait a minute, hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second, guys, because I'm trying to go down the feed, and it's like I have it like upside down or something, or right side up. Who knows? Okay, so I went over that. We went over that this morning. As I was just reading it, I'm like, wait a minute, I read that this morning. Hey, hey, welcome. Please be sure to hit that like button on your way in. Thank you guys for being here. With me, I'm finishing up day 6 testimony in the United States versus Sean P. Diddy Combs. Combs, Washington. All right, so I think I went backwards, y'all. I'm sorry. Whew, I'm a little discombobulated, but I'll get it together. We'll get it together. We will get it together. Don't you fret. We got this. We got this. Okay, short sidebar. Okay, they're back from sidebar. Okay, now back from sidebar. AUSA, why did you file a civil lawsuit? Dawn, when I worked for Sean Combs, I had no sleep. The conditions, dot, dot, dot. AUSA, in every meeting with the government, did you say that Mr. Combs beat Ms. Ventura? Dawn, yes. AUSA, why'd you reach out to Mr. Combs? Dawn, one of the judges on Making the Band, Lorianne Gibson, I wanted to reach out. Combs, Westmoreland, objection. Judge, sustained. AUSA, how often would you hear from Mr. Combs after you left Diddy Dirty Money? Dawn, sporadically. AUSA, why did you reach out? Dawn, to help Kalina Harper. AUSA, no further questions. Combs is Westmoreland. May we have a brief conference at the bench? Sidebar ensues. Recross, Westmoreland. You admit you reached out to Mr. Combs to re-engage. You claim only to have a relationship with Lorianne Gibson. But if it got back together, you'd have to see Mr. Combs more, right? Dawn, yes. Hold on one second, guys. Hey. Thank you, my baby. Later. Sorry, guys. That was my niece. My niece, she is making shrimp po' boys, and she wanted to know if I wanted some. I'm like, yeah, you know it. I'm so thankful and I'm so grateful for my family. Let's get back. Combs, Westmoreland. You sued for money, right? Dawn, for justice, Westmoreland. But the suit asked for money, right? Dawn, yes, Westmoreland. No further questions. Judge, Miss Slavic, AUSA. No redirect, Your Honor. Combs, Donaldson. Break? Question mark. Judge, okay, a break. Oh, jury entering. AUSA, the government calls Carrie Morgan. Where do you live? Carrie. Los Angeles. AUSA. Who is this iPhone? Who is this iPhone? Who is this? Oh, who is this photo shown? Carrie Morgan, Cassie Ventura, AUSA. What was your relationship? Carrie Morgan. We were best friends. Her boyfriend assaulted me. AUSA. Do you see him here? Carrie. Yes. There. In a yellow sweater. AUSA. Let the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant, Sean Combs. AUSA. Why are you here? Carrie. I got a subpoena. AUSA. Where do you live with Cassie? Morgan. Manhattan. AUSA. Did Cassie drink? Not much. Carrie. None. What was she doing for work? Carrie. Modeling. Then she recorded Me and You. AUSA. When did you learn they were dating? Carrie. 2007. AUSA. Did you travel with Cassie and Mr. Combs? Carrie. Yes. I think it's Isabella, Miami. Um, AUSA, what drugs did Mr. Combs provide? Carrie, Molly, marijuana, ecstasy. AUSA, which did Mr. Combs take? Carrie, all. Carrie, hold on a second. I think this is AUSA asking. It says it's Carrie Morgan, but it's supposed to be AUSA. Did you take did you take drugs along with Cassie? Morgan, opiates. Why is it chopping up? Okay, it stopped chopping up. I don't understand. All right, AUSA. How did Mr. Combs act? Carrie. He would yell at Cassie. She lost her confidence big time, lost her spark. AUSA, did Mr. Combs talk down to Cassie? Carrie, yes. About her looks, who she talked to. AUSA, did he contact you looking for her? Carrie, a lot. Carrie, sometimes he would call 50 times in a row. AUSA, would others call you for him? Carrie, yes. Christina Coram or KK. AUSA, did you witness assaults? Carrie, yes. First in Hollywood Hills, Ruben, one of his security guards, was there. AUSA, what did Combs do to Cassie? Carrie, he kicked her. AUSA, what did she do? Carrie, nothing. I told Ruben to do something. He indicated he wouldn't. AUSA, then what? Carrie, we left the house. Cassie and I were hiding in front steps. AUSA, and the next time? Carrie, in Jamaica, I saw him drag her by her hair. I ran back to get my purse and phones so we could leave. AUSA, what did you see next? Carrie, I thought she was knocked out. Then she got up and ran into a wooded area. AUSA, what happened next? Carrie, there were two golf carts in the driveway. I got in one and Sean got in the other. We went in different directions looking for Cassie. AUSA, did you find her? Carrie, yes. Then we hid in a ditch, whispering. AUSA, what about the incident at Comstock? And then in parentheses it says apartment. Carrie, Cassie came back with a hoodie covering her face. Then Sean came and tried to get in, hitting the door with a hammer. I called D-Rock. AUSA, did he get in? Carrie, no. Then the police came. AUSA, what happened? Carrie, Cassie wouldn't show them her ID. Nothing happened. They left a card. AUSA, read this message. Did you send an attachment? Carrie, yes. A photo of the card to the detective. AUSA, did Combs ever assault you? Carrie, yes. He hit me with a wooden coat hanger and choked me. AUSA, where did the hanger hit you? Carrie, behind my right ear. AUSA, what did he express concern about? Carrie, who Cassie was cheating on him with? AUSA, who did you speak to about it? Carrie, Ryan, Sean's old assistant. AUSA, what did he do? Carrie, nothing. She shrugged her shoulders. I have not spoken with Cassie since. Judge, break. So they take a break in between the direct examination, and then with the jury out for lunch, the arguments continue. Judge, what's your best citation to try to get this evidence in? AUSA 614.F. He rattles off a bunch of citations. I'm not going to read them all. Judge, I'll look at them and then we'll come back. Combs Agnifilo. I haven't seen this before. Judge, you all need to get something to eat. Break. They're back from a brief lunch. Judge, if I let this in, Ms. Ventura could be recalled as a witness. AUSA, I doubt that we'd call her. The judge, the defense could call her back to the stand. AUSA, I doubt that she would be available. The judge, the evidence is out. Now, let me stop there real quick and let you guys know. The judge is very wise to not allow that evidence that may reopen the door for the defense to have to recall Cassie to the stand. Simply because everyone, I think, knows by now that she is going to be in labor, if she has not already gone into labor, to welcome her brand new baby boy. And if she is called and cannot come back to be a witness and sit on the stand, there could be a mistrial. That could create an issue of a mistrial. Okay, so that's probably why Judge Submarinian is saying it's out. Judge, I anticipate Mr. David James will be the next witness. How is he relevant? AUSA, as to the means and methods of the enterprise, Mr. Combs threatening to assault employees. This is so annoying. Whenever I hit more, it hold on a second. I had to hit more and this darn thing put me all the way down. Hold on, y'all. Okay, Carrie Morgan. All right, I got back to my spot. Because remember, they are back from break and arguing without the jury in the room. The say has to finish up cross direct examination of Carrie. Right. Okay, there we go. I'm back at my spot. AUSA, no further questions for Ms. Morgan. Just Combs Agnifilo. You were Miss Ventura's best friend in 2004. Carrie, 1. We met waiting for Polaroids to develop. I was living in Buffalo. She was in Combs Agnifilo. Then you were both in NYC. Carrie, I stayed downtown. She moved to Harlem. Agnifilo. Have you ever met Kim Porter? Carrie, yes. Probably at a Agnifilo. Was Cassie ever jealous? Carrie, yes. Agnes, and the other, I'm sorry, and the other way. What does, I don't know what that means, but Carrie, Cassie was speaking with Michael B. Jordan, and Sean got jealous. She was trying to leave him. Agnifilo, you were both using drugs. Carrie, no, we were in South Africa. Agnifilo, did you, Gina? Carrie, yes. Carrie, why is my, wow, this is really irritating me. Is it choppy, guys? I'm listening to myself in my headsets and I'm hearing it like chop up a little bit. Can I get some thumbs up if it's okay? But hey, baby. Um, hey, midwife. Hey, something foreign. Oh, it's really, it was chopping up. Okay. Now to me. Let me get to the point of the video where I am now. I don't understand this whole thing. This thing on restream. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, it's a restream issue. I'm probably going to try to do StreamYard. I'm going to have to learn how to use StreamYard, guys, because this is not working for me. I don't want video to be choppy. I would like my sound to be clear and crisp to me. I'm listening to myself in my headsets. Clarity is much. Still breaking up. Let me see if there's a computer making it active. Sorry for the scratchy noises, guys. I'm around. Apologies. back. I am back. Hopefully this helps. Live. And I'm hoping that that fixes the issue. Well, that helps. All right, Carrie. Having a full on relationship with this little girl. Why do you call her that? She acts like that. She's younger. Agnafilo. When you say Sean came and on the door, why did the police come? Care. They said because of the noise. Did they say to you? Carrie, Cassie was visibly injured, but she didn't say anything. Agnafilo. You two were best friends for 18, but now you haven't spoken since 2018. Carrie, that's true. Agnes, at the being capital, or I think it's cap. That's a long time. Objection. This is chopping up like this. I'm going to try to see if phone, if it'll easier, take this. I always like chop it up. Hold on. Myself. Boom. All right. All right. Can you guys hear me? 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 Get out of here right here. Get out of here right here. Cancel. Do y'all hear me? Why I don't see the chat? What the heck? What in the world? Where's the chat? Where's the chat? Where's the chat? There we go. All right. Is this better, guys? Is my sound better? How's my sound? Oh, my sound is so much better. Yes. Okay. Because I do not want to read and go through all of this update and then y'all didn't hear a word. That would be a waste of time, mine and yours. Okay. Combs attorney Agna Philo. Why haven't you spoken with her? Carrie. She did not support me after Sean assaulted me. I tried, I tried, I'm sorry. I tried that line at, oh, I guess they meant to, I draw the line at assault. Agna Philo. You reach a settlement with Miss Ventura. Carrie, the money came from Mr. Combs. Agnifilo shows Carrie photos, then asks, do you know if Louise Hayes is a self help author about self affirmations? Carrie, yes. Agnifilo, why did you send him this with words of encouragement? Carrie, I don't remember sending it. Agnifilo, okay. Agnifilo, I want to show you a few more photos. But first, let's talk about the incident when he put his hands on your neck. Were you and Cassie using any drugs at the time? Carrie, no. Agnifilo, what did he say? Carrie, he said, who is she cheating with? Agnifilo, you went to an urgent care and not the hospital. Carrie, right. Agnifilo, don't, but you don't, the prosecutors, I guess it's supposed to be you told the prosecutors, but you told the prosecutors it was bloody and you went to the hospital. Carrie, I don't remember that. Agnifilo, look at this. 3500 material not shown to the jury. Carrie, I see that I said that. Now, cross examination. AUSA. AUSA Foster. Do you remember Mr. Combs's Agnifilo asking you about an incident in LA? Combs Agnifilo, objection. Judge overruled. AUSA Foster. And he hit her like in Jamaica, arguing about jealousy. AUSA Foster. What happened in Jamaica? Carrie. He dragged Cassie by her hair, a 50-yard hallway. AUSA, was he talking about jealousy? Carrie, no. He said she spent too much time, she took too long in the bathroom. AUSA, nothing further. Judge, any recross? Agnifilo, now. I guess it's supposed to be no, but it says now. Next witness is David James, AUSA. Why are you here? David, I've been subpoenaed. AUSA, were you Combs's personal assistant? David, from 2007 to 2009. AUSA, who is this in this photo? David, that is David James. AUSA, that is yourself. David, yes. David, I went to college in Michigan. Later, I faxed my resume to Bad Boy. And you'll say, where was the interview? David, 1710 Broadway. And you'll say, who'd you meet? David, Tommy, his sister, Keisha, and others. And you'll say, how did they test you? David, they gave me 40 appointments and asked me to make a schedule. You had to know, for example, what time a particular show on Hot 97 came on. And you would say, what did Mr. Combs ask you? David, to make a spreadsheet for Miami. David, I said I'd know his food and restaurant. I said I'd know his food and restaurant preferences. He asked me why I'd make a food, why I'd make a good, what? Why I'd make a good assistant. Oh, he asked me why I'd make a good assistant. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm throwed off tonight. There's a lot going on, but we gonna make this happen, okay? He asked me why I'd make a good assistant. I said, can't stop, won't stop. I got the job. AUSA, did he have others? David, Miss Rubbles, Mr. Barber, others. AUSA, what would you do as his assistant? David, bad boy to 5, then out to dinner, then to the studio to 3 a.m. We'd get a call time at the end of the night. And you'd say, did you travel with Mr. Combs as well? David, yes. Who were the security staff? David, D Rock, Bonds, Uncle Paulie. ASA, you work 20 hours a day? David, yes. Security did too. ASA, what did security staff tell you? David, to stay in my lane. David, who said that? No, AUSA, who said that? David, Bonds, Uncle Paulie. AUSA, focusing on his personal chef. Who is who is that? David, Chef Jordan Atkinson. Now I'm breaking up on the phone, y'all. This is like just, oh my God. This is so annoying right now. Testing, testing. I hear myself like crackling on the phone. Can y'all hear that? Crackling sound. And there's like nothing next to the phone. y'all hear me? Oh, oh my gosh. Take a deep breath. All right. All right. Let's see what it's giving, guys. Let's see what it's giving. Testing, testing. If it doesn't start working, I'm just going to end the live because I don't want to do the live stream with all that crackling and choppy. Like, that's just not, I don't understand what's going on. Okay, it sounds a little better to me. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. All right, I'm going to just keep going. Atkinson, AUSA. Did Mr. Combs have girlfriends then? David. Kim Porter, Sarah, Tara, Yana, and Cassie. AUSA. What was your first conversation with Cassie? David. We were on Star Island. Carrie Morgan was there too. Cassie said, this lifestyle is crazy. David, I asked her, why don't she leave? She said, Sean controls my life, my music. He pays for my apartment. AUSA. Next conversation, David. It was about her music, but the album never came out. AUSA. Overhear? Did you overhear a conversation, David? Yes. Mr. Combs said, Kim is my queen. Out in LA with my family. He said, I have Cassie right where I want her. She's a young, she's young and mobile. And you say, Your Honor, how much longer do you want to go? This would be a good place to break. Judge, we'll break for the day. I'm so happy that I continued because pretty much it was the end of the day, but there are some arguments here. Wait, there's more. Combs is adding a fellow. NBC Brooklyn makes us NVCT calls at 5 p.m., 6 p.m. We need more. Ending at 3 p.m. helps. If you can extend it, judge, put a letter on the docket. it could crash now. It's done. That was the entire day. Mm, I don't know what's going on. Let me try it from this phone. Oh, that was terrible. That was horrible. Oh, my goodness. How is my sound? Look, y'all, throughout the course of this live, I have switched from my laptop to another phone to another phone. I am determined to get this done. That was terrible. Okay, my sound is better on this phone. Oh, my goodness. How is my sound? Look, y'all, throughout the course of this live, I have switched from my laptop to another This phone, is crazy. Another phone. I am determined to get this done. Okay, so it's clearer on this phone, on this particular device. So maybe I'll just be streaming on this device going forward. This is crazy. Okay, so it's clearer on this phone, on this particular device. Okay, yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you for sticking in there with me through all the glitches and the robotic voices and the choppiness. I was determined to come back and finish off day 2 of testimony in the case of Sean, the United States versus Sean P. Diddy Combs. Please tap in. Let me know what your thoughts are. Today, I will say I feel that the prosecution got a couple of points. They were able to paint a picture of a potential picture, I should say, of Cassie somewhat being, I don't want to say a willing participant, but someone who was willing to be involved in this multiple girlfriend boyfriend relationship. Let's just put it like that. Um, the defense is definitely um, trying to bring that point home that her involvement was definitely willing, but will it stick? What do you think? Do you think it will stick? I think the prosecution will need to do a better job of getting, let's see, I think the prosecution needs to do a better job of getting the point across that the power dynamic, and I'm sure they will. They more than likely they will once they bring in their specialist. I think that's what they're waiting for or what's to come. But I will say today I am assigning, like I said, I'll be assigning points on each day. Today my point goes to the prosecution. I mean to the defense. Okay, my point goes to the defense. So last week the prosecution was up. The prosecution had day 1 of testimony. They clinched it. Day 2, they clinched the point. Day 3, they clinched the point. Day 4, they wavered a little bit, but they still got that point. Day 5, um, it was a toss up. I wasn't impressed truly with either side on day 5. Day 6, The defense. I call it for the defense. They made some really good arguments, um, made it very thought provoking, and we're gonna listen to some of the craziest moments in this case. I'm gonna play some audio of the craziest moments in the trial so far.
That viewer discretion is strongly recommended. None of the content presented here
Let's
has been
see.
exaggerated or taken out of context. These are the exact statements made by the prosecution team, defense team, and Cassie Ventura in a federal court on May 16th, 15th, 14th, and 13th, 2025. Eddie Combs trial. Source.
So this is some of the craziest moments.
Did you get in arguments?
Yes, it would result in dragging.
What else did he do?
Put me in the head if I was down.
How frequently was he?
Too frequently. I would get black eyes and
What is the age difference between you and Sean?
17 years.
Do you feel when Sean invited you to hotels?
Nervous, excited, like we were going to talk about music. He introduced me to... I didn't understand.
Did you visit Sean in Miami?
Yes, I went with Carrie Morgan in Dallas, Austin.
What did you and Sean do together?
He gave me blue dotty on a boat.
Had you once before taken it unintentionally?
Yes.
When it swung, could you describe it?
Anger, zoning out.
How did it impact you?
Greatly. The next thing I knew, I was getting hit in the face. There was all the psychological... He'd tell me to watch my mouth, change my face. The freak-offs became a job. There was no time to do anything else but do them. Then try to recover.
How time in your week would freak-offs take?
The longest was 4 days. Significant periods of time.
How did you like your nails?
White, fripped.
Hair?
It varied. I shaved my head in 2009.
Your body?
He told me to work out. Prepare for the freak-offs.
How did you feel about his comments?
It varied.
Let me switch topics. How soon into the relationship did she mention to you?
First 6 months or a year.
How old were you?
22.
Why did you agree to try a freak-off?
Good question. I wanted to make him happy.
Where was the first freak-off?
Homes in Los Angeles.
Did you disguise your appearance?
Sean's would disguise ourselves. I wore a masquerade mask.
What was a session in a freak-off?
Until the escort finished.
How many sessions with the first escort?
At least 2.
What supplies were used for freak-offs?
Astroglide, baby oil, condoms.
Who brought the supplies?
Security. Sean's assistants.
Which brand of
Johnson's.
How was it used?
Sean said, you need to be glistening.
Any other use of candle wax?
A few times poured on my body.
Who said that?
Sean, I was expected to do freak-offs on my period.
Did you want to do that?
No.
Did you want to be urinated on? After this question, the defense objected, giving the reason of asked and answered, but the judge overruled it.
No, I did not want it.
How did it feel?
It was disgusting. It was too much. No one could think I wanted it.
Why were you choking?
Too much in my mouth.
Who else did it on you?
Sean.
Did you want Sean to eat on you?
I didn't want any weight on me.
How often did it happen?
Often enough.
Back to the patient. They know.
It was obvious I didn't want to be on the ground being hated on by 2 men.
Where did you find escorts?
Initially, Craigslist.
Why not a cop?
I learned this whole situation was not legal.
Before Cassie could finish her answer, the defense objected, and the judge said to disregard that answer. How did Cash get there?
Security, or he brought it himself.
Did you use every freak-off?
Yes, I need to disassociate and become emotionless.
Who else used it freak-offs?
Sean did. Sometimes the escort.
What other did you use?
Special GHB, mushrooms.
Why did you take more drugs?
I'd be present with the experience.
Why?
Because it was something I hated.
How did you react to ecstasy and MDMA?
It could make me vomit.
What did he say?
To continue.
Did you want to continue to have it when you wanted to vomit?
No.
How does GHB make you feel?
Drunk. Tipsy. Makes my heart race. I'm not a huge fan. The walls come alive.
What would happen after the escort done you?
Sean would want a body in the next room.
Did you do that?
I did.
Where?
Usual.
Did you want to do that?
No.
How did you feel?
I was an object, being heavily objectified by men. Sometimes he would watch by FaceTime.
Sessions recorded on your devices?
Because they were there.
try to come to your apartment?
Yes, that was pretty normal from him. But this is a pretty private building.
Did you hear from Ms. Coram that day?
Yes, and I went to see D-Rock and his wife to try to feel safe.
Did you try to avoid anything in the freak-offs?
I tried to avoid kissing. It seems too intimate. But Sean told me to do it, to kiss the escorts.
What did Sean ask you to do on your 29th birthday?
A freak off. One time I was dating someone else and he threatened me to freak off videos. I'd have to answer to my mother. It's horrible and disgusting. No one should do that to anyone.
What did Sean say the impact would be?
Shame.
How would you recover from a freak-off?
I take a... I wanted to feel numb. We'd get massages, IV fluids. The chef would cook us something.
How often did you take after freak-offs?
I got urinary tract infections.
Were the UTIs?
Very. Antibacterials didn't work anymore.
How did it feel during freak-offs?
Burning. I would not advise...
Okay, guys, we got a commercial. And these are the craziest moments thus far during the trial. That's what we're into.
Sores.
Hold
How
on.
did you recover from a freak-off?
I take a... I wanted to feel numb. We'd get us IV fluids. The chef would cook us something.
How often did you take after freak-offs?
Often. I got urinary tract infections.
Were the UTIs painful?
Very. Antibacterial didn't work anymore.
How did it feel during freak-offs?
Burning. I would not advise it.
Let's read this out loud.
I have all these sores on my tongue. I have another UTI.
What sores?
Friction in my mouth.
What?
Oral.
You said another UTI, then sad face emoji.
I was open with him about them.
So you feel sick?
Why are you sorry? Took the blame for things. Sean wanted to have a freak off in the Hamptons. We got a hotel and an escort.
Which one?
Dave, I took B, went into a G hole and blacked out. I woke up in the shower. Dave and Sean were freaking out. I bugged out. It wasn't pretty.
How did you get back to New York?
On a commercial flight. I traded my seat to get away, but he traded to get next to me.
What did he show you?
Freak off videos. He played them for me on one of his laptops. He said he'd release them.
How did you feel?
Trapped.
When you landed in New York, what did you do?
We went to a dinner. Then he wanted to have a freak off. So we had a freak off.
Why did you do it?
To make him not me.
When did Sean first use on you?
In New York City. We were in a car with his security, and he knocked me around.
What did he do?
He hit me in the side of the head. I fell to the floor of his Escalade. I was on the floor of the car, and he stomped on my face.
How long did this last?
10 minutes. Then I tried to get away, but Sean's security brought me back.
Who?
Roger Bond.
This photo. Who is it?
Scott Mescudi, known as Kid Cudi. We dated in 2011.
Sean find out?
Yes, in my phone. Sean went through during a freakout. He found an email.
About what?
Taking my toiletry bag to Scott's the next day. Sean put a wine opener in his hand and me. I called Scott on the burner phone.
What's my sound like, guys? Let me get some thumbs up if it's good.
Want assistance.
Then what?
I went to the house Sean was staying at. He told me he would release videos of Scott and I.
What videos?
Freak out videos of me. Sean me in the back. I got a bruise.
Where'd you go?
To my hotel with the burner phone. The room was torn up. Someone peed all over the floor, pooped in the toilet, and didn't flush it. It was gross. This was just before Christmas. I sent an email to my mom in Capricorn for my flight to Boston and Connecticut.
Who did you write?
That Sean said he would release the tape of me on Christmas, and he'd had Scott and I.
This stuff is just, I mean, unreal. What I really want us to listen to real quick, just to wrap it up before we get out My bad, guys. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? This is like a terrible live stream, but I'm going to save it anyway. I sure am. I sure am. This is what happens in a live environment, folks. Can y'all hear me? Oh, damn. My bad, guys. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Oh, yeah, my sound is really good. But I'm going to save it anyway. Okay. My sound is good. I can hear myself. But I can, what I wanted to play for us before we got out of here, because I know a lot of people, from what I understand, they're saying from watching other, content creators and other people who are covering the case, they have said things like, Cassie was complicit. She was helping to arrange the freak offs. She was setting the appointments for the freak offs. She was doing things related to ensure that they happened. And that's some folks' perspectives. However, I want to get this video up. Where is it? The Law Crime Network had a very interesting, and I mean very interesting, point of view regarding this. This is not it. Hold on. Where's my dang on history? The Law Crime Network did a really good video on this, and they actually broke it down. Here it is. I want y'all to listen to this.
Didn't leave Combs and even was intimate with him after he allegedly raped her. Well, they all come down to understanding trauma, coping, and important psychological considerations. And that is why we are bringing in now a mental health expert to understand these factors and what the jury may decide. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hey everybody, this is another Law and Crime legal alert. If you received Depo-Provera birth control shots and were later diagnosed with a brain or spinal tumor called meningioma, you may be eligible for a loss. Click the link below or head of government's star witness in its criminal racketeering, sex trafficking, prostitution case against Sean Diddy Combs. Is how can she say she's a victim if she spent so much time with Combs? How can she claim she was a victim of sex trafficking and was coerced into elaborate sexual performances with sex workers if she allegedly helped set them up? You have to imagine the prosecution knew that all of these past messages she had with Combs and her seemingly staying with him for 11 years would be a big focus of her cross-examination by Combs' defense counsel, and it certainly was. The cross-examination, the questioning by the defense counsel took 2 days, and Combs' attorney, Anna Estevao, confronted Ventura Fine with all of this evidence to suggest that everything was consensual, that she was a willing participant, which could be a defense to the charges that he's facing. Messages where she wrote him, "I love you so much." Going to an FO on Tuesday, FO meaning freak off. Good morning to my king. You mean everything. There's a conversation where it appears Combs is saying how his favorite times are when they FOD, so maybe freak offed, and then made love after, to which Ventura responds, "Yeah, I like those times." Combs writes, "Anything you need me to get or set up in case we want to FO?" Ventura responds, "Oh, hit whoever would turn you on to see me with." Then there was this message, "Wish we could have FO'd before you left. My period is over." There's another message where she apparently claims that she's always ready for a freak off and that she didn't want to freak off for the last time. Quote, "I want it to be the first time for the rest of our lives." There are a lot of sexually explicit messages between the two. There's a lot of loving messages between the two. And yes, they were in a relationship for quite some time. That's definitely a factor. But in a case where the jury is being asked to believe that she was a victim of violent, coerced sexual episodes with sex workers, This complicates things. Now, it doesn't torpedo the prosecution's case. No, not at all. But it is an important consideration. So putting aside, of course, the argument.
It definitely is an important consideration when you're talking about these charges that are in his indictment. You know, he's looking at football numbers, possibly life imprisonment. So I know that the jury is sitting there very attentive and paying close attention. And the defense did do a great job of painting a picture of Cassie being somewhat as a willing participant. However, they didn't, in my opinion, my personal opinion, because you know I consider myself to be the 13th juror. And in my personal opinion, I do not personally feel that they did enough to combat the prosecution, the government's narrative. I just don't think they did. They did what they could by bringing in other messages to kind of counteract, but they did not head on challenge a lot of what the prosecution laid out. That was one of the biggest issues for me.
That in this case and other sexual abuse cases, a victim could say yes 99 times, but if they say no one time, that's still rape, that's still sexual assault, or what have you. But the prosecution could make the argument that if the jury accepts the allegations as true, for instance, in the March 2016 LA Intercontinental
Hey, Rena Bina.
video evidence appearing to show Combs beating and dragging Ventura at a time when a freak-off was underway.
Who is that?
That's an example of
Oh, hey, Ty.
consensual sexual
Come on in.
sex trafficking.
You can set it right there on my TV stand. You see I moved it in here?
To induce somebody to engage
Thank you,
in a
sir.
commercial sex act. And there are elements of transportation
Thank
as well.
you.
And we know that these
Thank you,
alleged
Kai.
coerced freak-offs occurred in all different cities and locations. And
Tell your mom I said thank
just so you
you.
can understand why the prosecution has been moving forward with this charge. Well, what about the allegation that Combs allegedly showed Ventura Fine videos of freak-offs on a plane as a way to allegedly intimidate and blackmail her? And when
that allegation and that part of the testimony is key. He was utilized. He not only did he, like he said, she was young and moldable. That's what he said in the conversation that David James overheard. So he did not only mold her into becoming an object for him, like his little play doll, you know, he also used threats against her for her to continue in participating in these activities. So I hope the jury is paying close attention, not just to the fact that the defense is trying to gloss it over and make it appear that this was a willing situation, a willing relationship. I'm sure that they don't leave, the jury doesn't leave their common sense at the door. They just don't. They don't leave their common sense at the door. So I hope that they're taking into account all of the allegations of physical violence. I hope that they're taking into account all of the underlying threatening that he did by way of showing her videos and saying, you know, I'm going to release this. You're going to be shamed. Everybody in the industry is going to look at you different, blase, blase, whatever.
They landed in New York, he wanted to have a freak off, so they did. She claimed that she felt trapped. I made the argument before that seems to be one of the more concrete examples of alleged sex trafficking that the prosecution may really focus on. But there was evidence that she didn't always agree. For instance, there was an exchange between the two where she seemingly tried to bring up her concerns with freak-offs. And Combs responded basically guessing that she didn't want to have them and even called her predictable. She asked him to delete videos of freak-offs off of his devices. But you have to wonder, after I said all this, you have to wonder, after so many years together, after admitting that she took a proactive role in setting these experiences up, after admitting on the stand that she first agreed to them as a way to make him happy, even after communicating, after the 2016 incident, and after she claims Combs raped her, not only did they communicate, not only does she admit that she had sex with Combs consensually one more time, again, after the attack, after the alleged rape. I mean, she said on the stand, she doesn't hate him. So with all of that, will the jury have a tough time accepting that Combs sex trafficked Cassandra Ventura fine, which is imperative not only for that specific charge, but also the racketeering charge,
Right.
criminal enterprise, criminal activity, underlying crimes, all that. And we know the defense also pointed to issues of jealousy and whether Ventura Fine had a financial incentive to accuse Combs. Remember, she sued him and settled. She also testified that she's expecting a $10 million settlement from the LA Intercontinental Hotel. Actually, she also testified while crying.
I believe that she should have sued the Intercontinental Hotel in LA because they did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. And also, the videotape was leaked to the media. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, absolutely. They did nothing during the incident to protect her or to assist her outside of telling her to leave and, don't, just go and nurse your wounds or what have you. I mean, the video is brutal. Anyone that saw that video should have called the authorities. They should have immediately turned the video over to the authorities. And this right here would have been a moot point. There would have been some type of established charges because in most states, if there's an assault that occurs, the victim involved does not necessarily have to take the case on. The state can decide to move forward with charges. So in this particular situation, had that happened, had the hotel acted on what was recorded and not disappeared the videotape until after her lawsuit, they wouldn't be culpable. But they had culpability because they buried that video for years, until after her lawsuit came out.
When talking about the purported $20 million settlement with Combs, quote, I'd give that money back if I never had to do freak-offs. I would have agency and autonomy. I wouldn't have had to work so hard to get it back. This is a gray area. This is confusing. But it seems to me the prosecution is going to have to explain that there are psychological reasons why an alleged victim like Ventura... No.
Hold on, guys. We got a commercial. But this is a good breakdown from Law and Crime Network.
In fact, we anticipate the testimony of psychologist Dr. Dawn Hughes, who testified in the Johnny Depp trial, maybe testifying about coping strategies. So was Cassandra Ventura a willing participant or victim? I feel that this is all going to come down to very, very important psychological evidence. So for that, let me bring in right now forensic psychiatrist Dr. Daniel Bober. Doctor, so good to have you. Thanks so much for coming back here on Sidebar.
Great to be here.
So, Dr. Bober, how is it possible that she could be in this relationship, not leave, set up freak-offs, be a part of freak-offs, and still be a legitimate victim of sex trafficking? What are the psychological issues at play?
So I think the defense has a lot of ammunition here, as you said, but compliance does not equal consent. And remember, there was a tremendous power imbalance here. Cassie Ventura clearly has a history of trauma, probably poor self-esteem, poor boundaries, and a lot of this is a trauma response. We see this in people who are taken hostage or people who are in cults, where they become so beaten down that they almost develop what we call an emotional dependence on the person that they're with, this term trauma bonding, which is thrown around a lot. So I think it is possible to appear that they are a willing participant, but still be so beaten down and so defeated that they are going along with this because they fear abandonment. They fear that they will be out on the street and they're financially dependent on the person they're with, and the person could ruin their reputation. So it may seem on the surface that they're a willing participant, but they still could be under the psychological control of that individual.
Now, she was young when she started her relationship with Sean Combs. I believe there's a 17-year age difference. She wasn't a minor, she was an adult. But does that age discrepancy play a factor?
Well, that also plays into the power imbalance. But think about how many people we know in our lives that we see are in terribly abusive relationships, and we say to ourselves, why does this person stay? They could walk away anytime they want. But now talk about someone who's with P. Diddy, right? a powerful person with tremendous influence, with tremendous financial resources. You have to believe that if you walk away from someone like him, you're going to pay for it, and you're going to pay for it in the worst way.
Do you get that from the messages that I was reading, where you have this love between them? Because, the counter argument could be there were good times, there were bad times. But this wasn't like, they were fighting. This is the good times were intimate. The bad times were, according to the prosecution, she was illegally trafficked. She was a victim of violent sexual abuse and physical abuse. I mean, the allegations, what she described happened during these sexual episodes, are quite disturbing. So how is the jury going to reconcile those messages, which, as I said, the prosecution knew about, anticipated? How do we make sense of that? Is that a situation where an alleged victim says, I'm not accepting that I'm a victim. I'm not accepting that I was traumatized. They don't appreciate what happened to them?
So one person could look at it and say there's good times and there's bad times, and another person could look at it and say this woman did whatever she needed to do to survive, right? She knew that she had to go along with this. Maybe those times that seemed loving over text, maybe she was just saying that. Maybe she didn't really mean it. That's an alternative theory too. There's this concept of cognitive dissonance, right? Where we have conflicting feelings, values, and emotions. We know that someone has hurt us, but then we say, but he must really love me. So it's things that we go through in our minds, normalization and rationalization, so that we can make it through our everyday lives and be in situations which may be highly traumatic, but we have to survive. And so this is the mind's way of protecting itself in that situation.
Are these coping strategies? Is this what, when we're talking about what Dr. Dawn Hughes may testify, are these coping strategies?
Yes, it is. And I think it's really going to come down to the psychological testimony. And there's this concept of delayed recognition, right? Also a survival mechanism where people don't necessarily recognize at the time that what's happening to them is a traumatic event. So there's that as well.
Now, the reason I'm putting forward these questions is not as if I'm saying I don't believe Cassandra Ventura fine, but I am posing the questions that if you read social media and you read YouTube comments, there are people who don't believe her. And so she might not be telling the truth. He's innocent until proven.
It's just so unbelievable to me that after seeing the intercontinental video and after going through 6 days of testimony, the majority being directly from Cassie, but other individuals who have recalled events of her being physically assaulted, beaten during a FO, beaten while on vacation, kicked, punched, drugged by her hair, that people are saying they don't believe her? Like, huh? I think that we definitely are in a society where women and children are not protected. We're still in that mindset where women and children are not protected. And I'm going to keep saying that until I see there's some type of change, because I don't look at Cassie as a victim per se. I look at her as a survivor. There was a huge power imbalance in this relationship, financially, age wise, and just the levels. Cassie was young. She wanted a musical career. And at that time, back in that day, Diddy was the person. He was the place to be. He was the place to go to get your career off the ground. So it's understandable that she ended up going towards a 10 album record deal with his company, his organization. But what's not understandable is how he 17 years 17 years older than her. Let's say they were in a relationship and he's 17 years older than her. Why would he need to use physical force and or uh, physical with her period in order to make things happen? Like, If she was truly a willing participant, why did he need to threaten her with revealing their private moments and their alternative lifestyle? If she was truly a willing participant, what will be the reason for him threatening to share those tapes publicly?
Guilty, or we're anticipating what the prosecution is going to have to argue to the jury to make sense of a lot of what they heard during cross-examination. So I just want to make that caveat. And I say that because now I have to ask this question. She claims she was raped, and then she says at a later time she had consensual sex with Sean Combs. How is it possible that someone could be raped by an attacker and then have consensual sex with them in a later time? Again, assuming these allegations are true.
Well, I mean, I think it's very possible, right? I mean, no means no, right? Compliance does not equal consent. If someone goes along with it, and we see this a lot in people who are traumatized, right? There's this phenomenon called fawning. Fawning means being a people pleaser, basically going along with the situation that you're in because you don't want to be hurt, you don't want to offer resistance because something might happen to you. So it's possible that at times it was consensual, that she went along with it, and it's possible at times that it was forcible and it was a crime. Those things don't necessarily have to be consistent one way or the other. But I think, as I said, the defense, I think, has a lot of ammunition here because a lot of people who don't really understand the psychology of trauma are going to look at this and they're going to say, again, she could have walked away anytime she wanted. They're going to say she stayed because of the money, the power, the influence, the lifestyle. I definitely think they have a lot to work with that the prosecution is going to have to contend with.
Yeah, I think a big issue here is fear, or the alleged fear, right? That she couldn't speak up or leave because of Combs' power, his wealth, resources, his violence. This is what I think the prosecution is going to focus on. I mean, the prosecution could argue, hey, you know why she didn't fight back more? The 2016 tape, Exhibit A. Because if she did, look what could have happened. I mean, that tape, right, arguably the worst piece of evidence for him. But you wonder if some jurors will say, I don't know, I still don't see it. Again, I think that concept of fear is very important to crystallize for the jury.
I agree. And when you're dealing with, again, we've seen this time and time again, a powerful celebrity who's on trial, quite frankly, there are people in that jury pool or in that jury who are fans of this person, and they don't want to believe that this person is capable of this. But remember, P. Diddy was denying all of this until that video came out. And as soon as he, kicked into what I call impression management mode, all of a sudden he was apologetic. But that apology came way too late. It happened after multiple denials, and it only surfaced once there was video evidence that this occurred.
By the way, when you look at that video and there's a point where she doesn't move, she doesn't fight back, she doesn't run away, do you think that adds to what you're saying?
I do. I think that supports it. But it's going to be very difficult because, again, when you see a video like that, and then when you see these loving texts back and forth that are so tender, people are going to be saying, I'm just so confused. If he was such a horrible person, why didn't she just leave? Why didn't she just walk away? But again, this is something that plays out every day in abusive relationships in this country. And these are very well-known psychological phenomena in the literature.
That's why it is also from a legal point of view, it's important to get the corroborating testimony of other alleged victims and witnesses, like Dawn Richard, former member of Danity Kane at the time of this recording. She is about to take the stand again, we believe. She testified she witnessed Cassie's abuse, didn't do anything because she was scared. Now, I want to ask you about this as well. I want to ask you about these messages, okay? One thing to talk about the messages during the course of the relationship. I want to talk about the later messages. So in 2019, again, after all of the alleged sex trafficking, coerced freak-offs, the violence, the alleged rape, the 2016 hotel incident, Combs writes Ventura, sending you love, and this is in regards to her becoming pregnant. She's now married, so Alex fine, by the way. Congratulations, Cass. I truly am happy for you. You're going to make a beautiful mother. God bless. Ventura Fine responds, thank you. God bless. 2020. Combs texted Cassie, miss my best friend. Hope you're well. Ventura responded that she hoped he was taking care of himself. Hope his family was well. Combs responds, thank you so much for responding. It really means a lot more than you know. Sending you nothing but love and light always. Please know I'm always here if you need me. And he also wrote to her, you were there for me through everything. Called her the greatest woman in the world and my ride or die always. Ventura responds, I wouldn't have been at this beautiful point in my life without having been with you. The things you said blew my mind a little bit. Dr. Bober, this is now later in time. This is 3-4 years before she filed her lawsuit. Is this understandable? Could she still be a victim?
Well, I don't think it's black and white, right? I mean, there may have been some aspects of the relationship that she really missed. And this goes back to the concept of delayed recognition. Maybe at the time she lacked the perspective, the emotional maturity to really see that this was trauma that she went through, that she was trafficked, that she was sexually assaulted, that she was degraded and humiliated. Maybe at the time this all became normal to her because it was happening so often, and maybe only in retrospect could she look back and see that she was traumatized. But I don't think it's a black or white situation. And I do think that in some perverse way, she did love him. She did feel connected to him. And that's what makes this so complicated.
Well, one of the other issues that came up during her cross-examination, and I wonder if it's an issue that's going to be amplified more, surrounds her therapy for possible PTSD. This was something the defense had asked her about. There is a part that concerns how to recall past memories, possibly traumatic memories. It's called, apparently, neurofeedback therapy. There's, quote, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So Ventura Fine described it as, quote, for instance, you're getting, I don't want to talk too much, if you're getting beat up and couldn't walk out of a room, you get to walk out of the room in that healing. And you wonder if the argument will be she isn't necessarily recalling what actually happened to her, but the memories are tainted. The memories are manufactured. Your thoughts on this? I mean, I feel that's where the defense was going.
I do, but again, EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing, is a well-known therapy for people with trauma. It works to help desensitize them and reprocess those memories.
Save time.
Hold on, guys. We have a commercial.
Networks where memories form, and very often those memories can be highly fragmented. So this is a known treatment for people with trauma, and it's actually very successful.
But that's what could lead someone all those years later to look back and say, wait a minute, I was a victim. I realized what happened to me.
Because now they're able to put it in perspective and see it for what it was, whereas at the time they couldn't see that.
Because the one thing I don't quite understand is what would have led her to file the lawsuit in November 2023. What led to that after everything? It wasn't as if, she ended a relationship a month earlier and then filed a lawsuit against him. And I've always said, she settles with him, but then cooperates with the government nonetheless. So sure, the defense will say she had a financial incentive. She was motivated by different factors to go after Sean Combs. But I am curious. I think that actually hurts the defense's argument. I think it helps her credibility. I mean, that's my perspective.
Yep, I do too.
But let me ask you this. Dr. Bober, this is a tough situation because how does a jury sort this out? What do I mean by that? You can have an alleged victim say, it may look like I was fully on board, but that's not how I was feeling on the inside. Now, putting aside the fact that, a jury might say, how on earth could someone in Cassandra Ventura Fine's position consent to everything that she described? It doesn't make sense unless, of course, there's a psychological issue at play. But putting that aside, you wonder, okay, you have an alleged victim testify and say, it may look like I was consenting. It may look like I was on board. It may look like I was a willing participant, but that's not how I was feeling on the inside. That may be true. But from a criminal law point of view, to me, it feels very, very difficult for the jury to convict or not.
So if I'm the prosecution and I have an expert up there, I'm going to say that we play roles in our life every day, right? We go to work and maybe we don't want to be in certain situations, but that's our job. So we play a certain role. And maybe what we project to the world is not how we truly feel, but we do it to cope. We do it to survive. We do it to get through. So I would start with that. And I think this is really going to come down to what we call psychoeducation, meaning we're going to have to really educate the jury in terms of how these psychological phenomena work.
Right.
The fact that people may seem like they're willing participants. They may seem like they're going along with it completely, but they're really not, because there is some form of duress, some form of coercion that they're responding to that may be immediately obvious. We don't know the timing of why this lawsuit occurred when it did. maybe she came to the realization that all those years that she was traumatized, maybe she came to the realization for all those years that she was traumatized, that she was sexually assaulted, and that's why it happened. Or maybe there was some other intervening factor that we're yet unaware of.
Look, we've been talking about it a lot, but I believe that the psychological evidence, the expert testimony is going to be key here. We mentioned Dr. Dawn Hughes, who's going to be testifying for the prosecution, presumably about coping strategies, presumably about why alleged victims do not leave their alleged abusers, although she won't be allowed to testify about coercive control. That was ruled out. You know, and there was a whole discussion about why do you have to tell the jury about that? They can use their own common understanding about it, plus it might conflict with a legal definition of coercive control. But if we believe that's what Dr. Hughes is going to testify for the prosecution, what is the defense going to do? Well, we believe the defense is going to call their own forensic witness, forensic psychologist Dr. Alexander Barty. So, Dr. Bober, after everything we've just talked about, what do you think the defense's expert is going to say?
I think the defense expert is going to say that at the end of the day, she had free will, that she had autonomy and independence, and that she could have walked away. I think that's what they're going to say. I think they're going to, if they're smart, acknowledge the fact that these phenomena exist, but that in this particular case, this went on for years, and she could have walked away. I think that's what they're going to say.
And maybe strike a little bit at that therapy to recall memories. I would imagine, maybe?
Yep, to try to undermine it, correct.
Battle of the experts, once again. Look, I think that this is a very, very important issue.
So it's going to get really interesting once that expert comes up and testifies on the psychological piece, that part where you are appearing to be willing, appearing to be going along with everything, but in all reality, you're not, you're not really there. You're there, but you're absent at the same time. So, let's see, that's abuse supposed to be. There's, okay, yeah, she's gonna be there, and I can't wait for that to happen. I'm waiting for that to happen. She won't be able to address coercive control because that was ruled out. Um, the defense fought tooth and nail as far as what she can address or discuss with in open court with the jury. So that part has been ruled out, but she will be able to speak to the other issues at hand, or that may have been at play during the period of time that Cassie stayed with Sean P. Diddy Combs. But guys, that's all for tonight. I will be back tomorrow. However, I'll be recapping the entire day late night. Okay? So it'll be about the same time, 9 or 10. I'll see you guys then. You guys, please have a wonderful evening. Well, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or night based on wherever you're tuning in from, or based on whatever time you catch the replay. Guys, let's congregate in the comments. Go ahead and drop me a couple of comments. I want to know what your thoughts are. And absolutely, Crystal, the defense is doing their job. I don't look at Diddy's attorneys as horrible people or vengeance, people with a vengeance or anything like that. They're doing their job, and they need to do an excellent one because the stakes are extremely high for their client. And quite honestly, they're playing up against a winning team with a really high conviction rate. As a matter of fact, let me check. Let me check right now. Let's see. Let me check right quick before I get up out of here, y'all. Let's check and see what is the federal government's government's win case ratio. I hope that comes through. Let's see. All right. So the federal government maintains a probable high success rate in prosecuting criminal cases. In fiscal year 2022, approximately 89.5% of federal criminal defendants pleaded guilty, while 1.9% went to trial and were convicted. Only about 0.4% of defendants went to trial and were acquitted. Indicting, I'm sorry, okay, indicating, I'm sorry, that fewer than 1% of federal criminal defendants were acquitted in 2022. So they have a very high conviction rate, very high. So we'll see what comes of this. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, guys, please consider subscribing today. We are currently trying to get to that 500 mark, and I need your help to get over the hump. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great evening.